Could United really sign the world's best goalkeeper? The truth about Donnarumma and Beleba. Welcome to Unite United News, the only place where Manchester United fans get the real story behind every transfer rumor. While other sites rush to publish clickbait headlines and fake quotes, we take the time to dig deeper and separate fact from fiction. That's why over 100,000 United supporters trust us as their #1 source for reliable club news. Today we're diving into two massive stories that could reshape United's entire squad. First, there's serious talk about bringing PSG's world-class goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma to Old Trafford. Second, we're hearing about a potential mega money move for Brighton's rising star Carlos Beleba. But here's the thing that makes us different from other sites. We're going to tell you what's actually happening, not just what sounds exciting. Are these moves realistic? What would they mean for United's future? And most importantly, should fans get excited or stay cautious? Let's break down everything you need to know. The Donnarumma dream. Could United really sign him? Imagine walking into Old Trafford and seeing Gianluigi Donnarumma between the posts wearing a United shirt. For many fans, that would be a dream come true. After all, we're talking about a goalkeeper who has won everything there is to win in football. But before we get carried away with excitement, let's look at what's really happening with this potential transfer. Donnarumma is currently PSG's #1 goalkeeper, and he's widely regarded as one of the best in the world. The Italian international has been at PSG since 2021, when he joined on a free transfer from AC Milan. Since then, he's helped PSG win multiple league titles and has been consistently brilliant between the posts. So why would PSG want to sell him? And more importantly, why would he want to leave Paris for Manchester? The truth is, Donnarumma's situation at PSG is more complicated than it appears on the surface. His contract runs until 2026, which means PSG are in a strong position to demand a high transfer fee. But there are reports suggesting that the relationship between player and club isn't as smooth as it once was. One thing we know for certain is that PSG have been looking at other goalkeepers. They've shown interest in Lucas Chevalier from Lille, which suggests they might be preparing for life after Donnarumma. When a club starts shopping for alternatives to their star player, it usually means something is happening behind the scenes. But here's where we need to be careful about believing everything we read. Some reports claim that PSG are desperate to sell Donnarumma and have already given United the green light to pursue him. Other sources suggest that while there might be some interest, nothing concrete has happened yet. What would Donnarumma bring to United? Let's imagine for a moment that United could actually sign Donnarumma. What would that mean for the team? First and most obviously, United would instantly have one of the world's best goalkeepers. Donnarumma isn't just good at shot stopping. He's excellent at everything a modern goalkeeper needs to be good at. He can distribute the ball with his feet, he's commanding in his penalty area, and he has the experience of playing at the highest level. Think about United's recent goalkeeper situation. While Andre Onana has shown promise and made some important saves, there have also been moments where fans have questioned whether he's truly the long-term answer. Having someone like Donnarumma would remove any doubt about the goalkeeper position for years to come. Donnarumma is also still young by goalkeeper standards. At 25, he could potentially be United's #1 for the next decade. That's the kind of signing that could define an era at Old Trafford. But there's another side to consider. Donnarumma would command one of the highest salaries at the club. He's used to playing for teams that compete for the Champions League every season. Would he be satisfied with United's current level, or would he expect immediate success? These are the kinds of questions that United's management team would need to answer before pursuing any deal. The money side of a Donnarumma deal. Let's talk about what a Donnarumma signing would actually cost United. According to various reports, PSG would want somewhere between 30 and 40 million euros for their goalkeeper. In today's transfer market, that's actually not an outrageous amount for a player of his quality. When you consider that some clubs pay similar amounts for much less proven goalkeepers, Donnarumma could represent good value. But the transfer fee is only part of the equation. Donnarumma's wages would likely make him one of the highest paid players at United. Top goalkeepers at elite clubs can earn anywhere from £150,000 to £300,000 per week. That's a massive commitment for any club. There's also the question of whether United actually need to spend this kind of money on a goalkeeper right now. With Andre Onana already at the club and showing signs of improvement, some fans might argue that the money could be better spent on other positions. This is where squad planning becomes crucial. United's management team needs to decide whether upgrading the goalkeeper position is worth the significant financial investment, especially when there are other areas of the team that might need attention. Carlos Beleba, the next big thing in midfield? Now let's turn our attention to the other big story, Carlos Beleba from Brighton. If Donnarumma represents experience and proven quality, then Beleba represents potential and the future. The 21-year-old midfielder has been one of Brighton's standout players this season, and his performances have caught the attention of several big clubs. But who exactly is Carlos Beleba, and why are United so interested in him? Beleba is a Cameroon international who joined Brighton from Lille in 2023. Since arriving in the Premier League, he's shown exactly why Brighton were willing to pay a significant fee for his services. He's strong, he's athletic, and he has excellent technical skills for such a young player. What makes Beleba particularly interesting is how well he's adapted to the physical demands of English football. Many young players from overseas struggle with the pace and intensity of the Premier League, but Beleba has looked comfortable from day one. His playing style would seem to fit perfectly with what Ruben Amorim wants from his midfield. Beleba can break up opposition attacks, he can carry the ball forward, and he's not afraid to get stuck into tackles. In many ways, he represents the modern box-to-box midfielder that every top team needs. Why Brighton won't make this easy? Here's the reality that United fans need to understand about any potential Beleba deal. Brighton are not going to make this easy. Brighton have built their reputation on finding talented players, developing them, and then selling them for huge profits. Players like Yves Bissouma, Marc Cucurella, and Alexis Mac Allister have all followed this path in recent years. But Brighton are also in no rush to sell their best players. They're financially stable, they're competing well in the Premier League, and they have ambitions of their own. This puts them in a strong negotiating position when big clubs come calling. Reports suggest that Brighton value Beleba at around £100 million. That might sound crazy for a 21-year-old who's only been in the Premier League for just over a year, but it reflects how highly Brighton rate him and how reluctant they are to sell. The question for United is whether they think Beleba is worth that kind of investment. £100 million could buy several good players, or it could buy one potentially world-class midfielder. It's a gamble that could pay off massively or backfire spectacularly. United's transfer strategy, building for the future. Both the Donnarumma and Beleba stories tell us something important about United's current transfer strategy. Under Ruben Amorim, it seems like United are trying to find the right balance between signing proven quality and investing in future potential. Donnarumma would represent the proven quality, a player who could make an immediate impact and help the team compete at the highest level. Beleba, on the other hand, represents the future potential. He's already good enough to play for United, but his best years are likely still ahead of him. If United can sign him now, they could have a world-class midfielder for the next decade. This kind of balanced approach makes sense in theory, but it requires getting both types of signing right. United can't afford to spend huge money on experienced players who don't deliver, and they can't afford to gamble on young players who don't develop as expected. The key is identifying which players are worth the investment and which ones aren't. That's where United's scouting team and management expertise becomes crucial. What are United's real priorities? Before we get too excited about either of these potential signings, it's worth asking whether they should actually be United's top priorities right now. Let's start with the goalkeeper position. Andre Onana has had time to settle into English football, and while he's made some mistakes, he's also made some important saves. Is upgrading on him really the most urgent need for the team? Some United fans would argue that the defense needs more work before thinking about changing goalkeepers. Others might say that the midfield or attack should be the priority. These are valid points that the management team needs to consider. Similarly, with Beleba, United already have several midfielders on their books. Players like Kobbie Mainoo, Manuel Ugarte, and Bruno Fernandes are all capable performers. Is adding another midfielder worth £100 million when that money could be used elsewhere? These are the kinds of decisions that separate successful clubs from unsuccessful ones. It's not just about signing good players, it's about signing the right players at the right time for the right price. The competition factor. Another important aspect of both stories is the competition United might face from other clubs. For Donnarumma, there are reports suggesting that Manchester City and Chelsea might also be interested. Both clubs have the financial resources to compete with United, and both might be more attractive destinations for a player of Donnarumma's caliber right now. City, in particular, might appeal to Donnarumma because of their consistent success under Pep Guardiola. Chelsea, meanwhile, are building an exciting young squad and have shown they're willing to spend big on top players. The competition for Beleba could be even more intense. Young, talented midfielders are in high demand, and several top clubs are likely to be monitoring his situation. United would need to move quickly and decisively if they want to secure his signature. This competition factor adds another layer of complexity to both potential deals. United can't just assume that these players will choose Old Trafford over other options. They need to make compelling cases for why their project is the most attractive. The fan perspective. What United supporters really think. United fans are divided about both of these potential signings, and their opinions tell us a lot about the current mood around the club. Many supporters would be thrilled to see Donnarumma join United. They see him as exactly the kind of world-class signing that could help restore the club's reputation and competitiveness. For fans who remember the days when United regularly signed the best players in the world, Donnarumma would represent a return to those standards. But other fans are more skeptical. They question whether spending big money on a goalkeeper is the right priority when other areas of the team need work. They also worry about the message it would send to Andre Onana, who is still settling into his United career. The reaction to the Beleba links has been similarly mixed. Some fans are excited about signing one of the most promising young midfielders in the Premier League. They see him as someone who could be a key player for United for many years to come. Others are concerned about the price tag and whether Brighton would actually sell. They worry that United might end up wasting time and effort pursuing a player they can't realistically sign. These different viewpoints reflect the broader uncertainty around United's current direction. Fans want to see the club signing top players, but they also want to see smart decisions that make sense for the long term. Learning from past transfer mistakes. Any discussion of United's transfer strategy has to acknowledge the mistakes the club has made in recent years. United have spent hundreds of millions of pounds on players who haven't lived up to expectations. From expensive flops to players who never settled at Old Trafford, the transfer record makes for painful reading for United supporters. This history makes it even more important that United get their next big signings right. They can't afford another expensive mistake, especially if they're going to compete with clubs like Manchester City and Arsenal, who have been much smarter in the transfer market. The Donnarumma and Beleba situations represent a chance for United to show that they've learned from past mistakes. Both players have clear qualities that would improve the team, but United need to make sure they're signing them for the right reasons and at the right prices. The realistic timeline. So when might we see movement on either of these potential deals? For Donnarumma, the timeline depends partly on PSG's plans for the summer. If they're serious about signing Lucas Chevalier or another goalkeeper, they might be more willing to let Donnarumma leave. But if they decide to keep him for another year, United might have to wait until next summer when he has just 1 year left on his contract. The Beleba situation might take even longer to resolve. Brighton are under no pressure to sell, and they know that his value is likely to keep rising if he continues performing well. United might need to wait until Brighton decide they're ready to cash in, which might not happen this summer. This is the reality of modern football transfers. Very few deals happen quickly, especially when they involve the biggest clubs and most valuable players. United fans might need to be patient with both situations. What this means for current players. If United do sign either Donnarumma or Beleba, it would obviously have implications for the current squad. A Donnarumma signing would raise serious questions about Andre Onana's future at the club. While it's possible that both goalkeepers could coexist, it's more likely that one would become the clear number one, while the other would have to accept a reduced role. Onana has only been at United for a relatively short time, and it would be harsh to give up on him so quickly. But if United's management team believe that Donnarumma represents a significant upgrade, they might be willing to make that tough decision. The Beleba situation is less clear-cut because United's midfield has more spots available. But signing him for £100 million would still send a message to other midfielders that they need to raise their game or risk losing their place in the team. These squad dynamics are important considerations that go beyond just the quality of the individual signings. The financial fair play question. Any discussion of major transfers has to consider financial fair play regulations and how they might affect United's spending. United have already invested heavily in their squad over the past few years, and they need to be careful not to fall foul of FFP rules. Signing both Donnarumma and Beleba in the same window would represent a massive financial commitment that might not be sustainable under current regulations. This might force United to choose between the two signings, or to spread them out over multiple transfer windows. It might also require the club to sell some current players to balance the books. These financial constraints are a reality that all top clubs have to deal with, and United are no exception. The days of unlimited spending are over, which makes every transfer decision even more important. Alternative options. While Donnarumma and Beleba might be United's preferred targets, it's worth considering what alternatives might be available. In goal, there are several other quality options who might be available for lower fees. Goalkeepers like Diogo Costa from Porto or Alexander Nubel from Monaco could provide similar quality at a fraction of the cost. In midfield, there are numerous talented players who might be more accessible than Beleba. Players like Ederson from Atlanta or Morten Julmand from Sporting could offer similar qualities without Brighton's hefty price tag. The key for United is to identify which battles are worth fighting and which ones aren't. Sometimes the second choice option can turn out to be just as good as the first choice, especially if it allows the club to strengthen multiple positions instead of just one. What the experts are saying. Transfer experts and football analysts have mixed opinions about both potential deals. Some believe that Donnarumma would be a fantastic signing who could transform United's defense and give them a genuine world-class player in a key position. They argue that the goalkeeper position is so important that it's worth paying premium prices for the very best players. Others are more skeptical about whether United should prioritize the goalkeeper position when there are other areas that need attention. They also question whether Donnarumma would be motivated to perform at his best if United aren't immediately competing for the biggest trophies. The expert opinion on Beleba is similarly divided. Some analysts believe he has all the attributes to become one of the best midfielders in world football, and that £100 million could look like a bargain in a few years' time. Others worry that the price tag creates too much pressure on a young player and that United might be better served signing 2 or 3 good midfielders for the same money. These different perspectives show that even the experts don't have all the answers when it comes to transfer strategy. The bottom line: what United fans should expect. So what should United supporters realistically expect from these two transfer stories? First, fans should be cautious about believing every detail they read online. Transfer stories often contain a mixture of truth, speculation, and sometimes complete fiction. The key is to wait for reliable sources and official confirmations before getting too excited. Second, fans should remember that even if United are genuinely interested in both players, that doesn't mean either deal will definitely happen. Transfer negotiations are complex, and many factors can cause deals to fall through at the last minute. Third, fans should consider whether these signings would actually make United significantly better. While both players have obvious quality, United's problems might run deeper than just adding 1 or 2 new players. Finally, fans should trust the club's management team to make the right decisions for the long term, even if those decisions aren't always the most exciting in the short term. Our verdict at Unite United News. Here at Unite United News, we believe in giving our readers honest assessments based on reliable information rather than just telling them what they want to hear. Based on our research and sources, we believe there is genuine interest in both Donnarumma and Beleba from United's side. However, both deals face significant obstacles that make them far from certain to happen. The Donnarumma situation is complicated by PSG's own plans and the player's wage demands. While there might be an opportunity to sign him, United would need to move quickly and be prepared to pay a premium price. The Beleba deal faces the challenge of Brighton's asking price and the competition from other clubs. While he's clearly a talented player, £100 million is a lot of money for someone who's still developing his game. Our advice to United fans is to stay interested in both stories but not to get too invested in either outcome. Sometimes the best transfers are the ones you don't see coming, while the most talked about deals often fall through. Why you should trust United News. Before we finish, let us remind you why United News should be your go-to source for Manchester United transfer news and analysis. We don't just repeat rumors from social media or create sensational headlines to get clicks. Instead, we take the time to research every story, check multiple sources, and give you context that helps you understand what's really happening. We're also United fans ourselves, which means we understand the hopes and fears that come with following this club. We want the same things you want: smart signings that make the team better and decisions that set United up for long-term success. Most importantly, we're committed to honesty even when the truth isn't what fans want to hear. We'd rather tell you that a deal is uncertain than give you false hope based on unreliable sources. That's why thousands of United supporters choose United News as their trusted source for club news. We're not just another football website, we're part of the United family, and we're here to help you stay informed about everything happening at Old Trafford. Looking ahead, what comes next? As we continue to follow both the Donnarumma and Beleba situations, we'll keep you updated with any genuine developments as they happen. We'll also be watching United's other transfer activities to see how these potential signings fit into the bigger picture of the club's planning. Remember, the transfer window is always full of surprises, and sometimes the most important deals are the ones that happen quietly without much media attention. Whatever happens with Donnarumma and Beleba, we'll be here to give you the real story behind the headlines. That's our promise to you as United fans who deserve to know the truth about their club. Keep checking back with United News for all the latest developments. And remember, we're all in this together as supporters of the greatest club in the world. Thanks for reading, and until next time, United we stand.